What's up, everybody? So I wanted to ring in because everybody's freaking out about the whole Longshoreman strike and all this other stuff, and I want to give you my opinion. So here's what's really what I believe is going on, and everything basically lines up to this. The ports that we have right now are U.S. ports. They didn't become U.S. ports until after the War of 1812. In the treaty from the War of 1812, U.S. American ports were made U.S. ports. And shipping, international shipping, right, international maritime commerce, would not go to American ports anymore. So those ports have inherently been dismantled since America lost the War of 1812. Okay, and you can say, I know what your textbook said, that's a lie. You can go to Fort McHenry and literally read about how, America lost the War of 1812. So, with the American national flag that flies above Fort McHenry. So, what happened is after the War of 1812, there was a systematic dismantling of the American Republic. It happened over decades, centuries, okay? And ultimately in 1964, when the Reconstruction Trust expired, the American Republic went dormant. The NATO became the security agency for all of North America because there's no domestic trust, there's only foreign policy and foreign trusts. What's happened is in August of 2023, a domestic American People's Common Trust was delivered to the United States Marine Corps and the United States Navy, or the United States Army, summoning them to return to the American people, the indigenous, who are now called indigenous in world trade, international trade, summoning them to the ministry of the American Republic so that the Marine Corps could take their original American Continental Marine position to guard the American Continental Congress, and the American regular Army to assume its judge advocate marshal general roles for law courts and equity courts, and to bring the USMCA treaty that was enacted in July of 2020 back to America, the Republic. So the U.S. ports, the Navy, is who has to move these assets, because the Navy is in charge of the civil law, civil personnel, so they're in charge of the transfer from foreign to domestic, now that there's a domestic trust. The Army, the Navy, and the Marine Corps are all in possession of the American People's Common Trust. They are moving the assets and reactivating the original Declaration of Independence and American Constitution trusts that include the Bill of Rights, so they can then open those courts and open those systems. But the Navy has to take control with the Coast Guard of American ports. That's why you're not hearing the agreements for the Longshoremen were not between the International Longshoremen's Association and the U.S. Maritime. Well, the U.S. Maritime is out because under USMCA, this becomes an international American issue, not a United States Article I Congress issue, removing the federal government and NATO's jurisdiction over U.S. ports that will now be American ports. And if you refer to the Treaty of 1812, it was specific in that treaty that ships conducting admiralty or maritime law across the high seas were not allowed to use American ports. They were only allowed to use U.S. ports. So that is being returned back to American ports by the Navy to bring the Army and the Marines back on to the land of America, to the people of America and the inhabitants of America per the Liberty Bell, and reset and separating the people from their subjugation under the U.S. Congress and their federated corporate states. So I hope this explains. Please share, because I get censored all the time. This is my opinion. I know where the trust came from. I know who wrote the trust. I've read the trust. I've seen the trust. I know what the trust is, and I know exactly the dates that it was delivered and exactly where it went and exactly how it got there. So I have participated in this process of delivery and the correspondence between the military and the American people. So share, believe it or not, I don't know, but ever since the trust has been delivered, you've seen an increase in opening up bases. Marine bases are opening up, both in Palau and in North Carolina. You've seen increases in National Guard stuff. These are all things that are American, not U.S. So I hope that helps, and everything's going to be fine. This is the way it's supposed to work, and this is how it's a lawful exchange of power, moving it back to its proper positions. So God bless, Godspeed, and hold fast.